Benvenuti a tutti, and welcome to another edition of Italian America Long Island. My name is Dave Anthony Ducati. Today, I have a very special guest, a person who's a real inspiration to me personally, and one of my favorite performers. We met in a songwriting class, and I was immediately impressed with her talent, as you will be when you hear her sing. She began her songwriting career at the age of 75. And today, 8 years later, she is still performing and writing as strong as ever. She has had a cabaret show in New York City, and she appears locally in concert, recently for the Folk Music Society of Huntington, and also at many local libraries where she is a perennial favorite. Welcome, Lois.
Thank you, Dave. That's such a beautiful introduction. I'm always very moved by the things you say.
Well, they're all so true.
Thank you.
And I really mean them from my heart.
Thank you.
So, of course, we're on an Italian show. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about your connections with Italy?
Right. Well, I'm not Italian, but I have a strong connection to Italian music, Italian language. I think that in my younger years I became enamored of opera, Italian opera, and I was a voice student at Music and Art, and so I learned a lot of arias, things that weren't even appropriate for me, but I seem to really know a lot of Italian arias word for word. I do not sing them.
Tell me, you've been to Italy a few times, haven't you?
4 times.
4 times. Why don't you tell me about the first time that you went?
The first time I went with my husband after we had been married for 3 years, and we spent about 9 days in Italy, 3 in Venice, 3 in Florence, 3 in Rome, and then we moved on. It was like a world tour. We did a lot of things that summer, but 3 cities of Italy. And then in 1964, we spent the whole summer in France and Italy. So for 3 weeks I was in Rome in the summer of '64.
Now, was your son with you at that time?
Yes, he was a baby. He was 4 years old. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he must have enjoyed it also.
Well, I think he did. I mean, he was like really a good kid. He had his little suitcase with the little trains in it, little round red thing, hat box. And wherever we went, he would just sit down in the middle of the road and open his little suitcase and play with his trains. And the Italians were just so, they used to just be so warm to him. Really, it was a pleasure to have a child in Italy. So different from France. So different. The Italian reaction to a small child and the French reaction to a small child, they're really very different.
I imagine the French is a little bit more colder to
They're a little
children.
cooler, yeah. They're also, they're also appreciative and so on, but definitely cooler. More like you think of, like people say New Yorkers are cold or whatever. Yeah, the French. And also I think that they're very, I won't say snobbish, but when you don't speak their language with a good accent, they become very aloof to people. Italians are not like this. If you spit out one word, it's like, oh, came out like I want. There's a lot of warmth in the Italian persona.
That's great. Now, you've also studied in Italy.
In 2008, I had a real breakthrough moment. I took a cabaret class with my teacher from New York, but she was teaching a cabaret class as a sort of continuing education in Tuscany every year. And so I decided to go over and take it. So I went, and it was a little town. It was in a little town called Vagliari. A lot of GLs in there. Vagliari. And it was not far from Siena, not terribly far from Florence. But I spent a week in that place taking that class. And we traveled out like in the afternoon a couple of times to these other cities. But up until that time, I had been taking some cabaret classes, and she had not thought that I was ready to do something in cabaret in the city. I had a theatrical background, and for me, excuse me, it was very important to have the fourth wall. Like, you're talking to people, but you don't see them. You know, cabaret is a whole other thing. I'm singing to you. You are in front of my face, and I have to sing to you. So what I used to do, I used to come up to the camera, or to the microphone rather, and I would immediately look at the floor. That was my MO. I would come up and look down and then do something. And she could not break me of this. And one day she laid down on the floor, and I came up and I did that, and there she was. I said, "Oh my God, I'm still doing it." So finally she broke me of looking at the floor. Then came the class in Italy, and something happened. It was the beauty of the scenery. It was the beauty of everything. Then the food and the people. When we did our little performance, I had no trouble looking at people, looking at the window behind them and the hills and the olive trees. And at the end of that, she said to me, "I think you're ready to do it. You can do a show now. I think you're ready now." So that was Italy.
Well, before we talk about your cabaret show, we're talking about Italy. Why don't you do one of your Italian songs for us right now?
One of my Italian songs. Well, okay. I did that in my first cabaret show. I did the song from La Strada.
Let's do that.
Let's do it right now.
Okay.
Tu che amar non sai, tu che amar non puoi, sei stregata dall'amor. Son questo occhi tuoi, freddi più che mai, ma che freddo nel tuo cuore. Hai sulle labbra quei baci che non dai, che non vuoi, nel desiderio che giammai si spegnerà. Tu che amar non sai, tu che amar non puoi, sei stregata dall'amor.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful.
You remember La Strada, you remember Gelsomina. You remember that movie?
Well, let's talk about your show. In fact, we have a songbook here.
Now, that was not the show that I did in 2008 when I started.
No.
This was something from 2013. I kind of used the big birthday markers. I did my first cabaret show, I was 75. When I did that show, I was turning 80.
Okay, and now this cabaret show, where did you perform this?
I did it in the city at a place called Don't Tell Mama. It's a cabaret club. And I had 4 performances of it, and one of them was in a different place called the Duplex, which is down on 7th Avenue, way down in the village. And in 2014, we got an award for that as Best Review.
Beautiful.
That was really exciting.
Well deserved, well
Indeed, it
deserved.
was.
Can you do a song from that show for us?
I would be very happy to do the one that people seem to respond to the most, which is about giving a dinner party when everybody's on a different diet. And then there's another one about side effects of medication, which a lot of people identify with.
Well, let's hear the diet song. It's called The
The
Diet
Diet is Cast.
is Cast, one of my favorite Lois Morton songs. All right, Lois, let's hear it.
I I thought I'd have a party, invite some friends to dine, cook up some culinary gems from old recipes of mine. But as I reviewed my old cookbooks, chock full of delicious dishes, I became a little wary, I became suspicious. I used to make the greatest ham, quite an outstanding leg of lamb. My chicken parmesan, turkey tetrazzini, veal scallopini, borscht and blini, my bouillabaisse, ragu bordelaise, sauce béarnaise, all gained much praise. But now there's a new attitude towards food, you don't know what to expect. Could it be that some of my recipes were nutritionally incorrect? So I conducted a survey of the folks I planned to feed, to see if there was any special dietary need. And as I checked around, this is what I found. Mary isn't eating dairy, Marguerite is off of wheat, Harry and Marion both vegetarian, sugar-free's the path for Pete. Megan's gone completely vegan, Jim has allergies galore. I hear Barb's not eating carbs, and Nadia is a locavore. Pat's on Atkins, Sam's on South Beach, Jenny, Craig Green, Shane her food. Emma weighs every ounce she eats on a little scale, which is rather rude. Nell's diabetic, Mel is kosher, Fran is eating for blood type B. And what about Jim? No nuts for him. And Anne-Marie is gluten-free, gluten-free, gluten-free. Anne-Marie is gluten-free. What a challenge, what a dilemma. Salt-free for Harry, fat-free for Emma. No cheese for Louise as a consequence of her lactose intolerance. No parmesan, no tetrazzini, no goulash, paprikash, scallopini. I was ruling out dishes hand over fist, eliminating my entire list. What a disaster. Then I thought, what about pasta? I make a turkey meat sauce. Folks say you just can't beat it. But all those vegetarians might not want to eat it. Well, I could make a separate sauce, one entirely meatless, and two kinds of pasta naturally, one with wheat and one that's wheatless. So, one pot for meatless and one pot for wheatless. We might have to eat less, I'll run out of pots. I've gotten much thinner while planning this dinner. It's getting my innards all tied up in knots. I began to despair of my role as chef, and decided at last to go BYOF. So they brought their own food to my party. I had drinks and a pretty place setting. We honored every diet choice with minimal fuss and fretting. Midst fat-free, sugar-free, salt-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, what a variety. We had conversation and good company, and we had a meal that was menu-free. Menu-free, menu-free. We had a meal that was menu-free.
Lois, you are hysterical, and it amazes me that you can remember so many lyrics. I mean, there has to be 2 pages of lyrics to that song. How do you do that?
I don't know. People are always commenting, well, you know, everybody has different strengths. I mean, come on. Everybody's got, like, I'm pulling myself up the stairs like, like with ropes, you know. But I can remember words. And I have a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan background.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Gilbert and Sullivan.
Well, you can hear
background.
that in the tune.
And you can hear it in things I write, and also I just have a lot of practice in learning fast lyrics and remembering them. And you know what happens is that it turns into muscle memory. You don't have it in your head. After you've done one of those rapid songs a few times, several times, you got to do it a few times, and it gets in there, it's in the muscle. It's in the muscle memory.
Let's switch to your creative process, because you've written so many great songs. For instance, let's take your song Side Effects, which I hope you're going to sing for us in a few minutes. How did you come about to write that? What was your creative process in writing that?
Well, the process in writing it was that I got very irritated with Madison Avenue, and they had switched their approach to side effects. They used to have small print, and then they would speak quickly. And then all of a sudden one day this mellifluous voice says, you could have a stroke, you could drop dead. And while that's happening, these healthy folks are striding back and forth, and really all you remember is the picture that you see, because I heard a program about that, and it's absolutely true. The implication is, well, if you can't take this drug, it's not our fault. So I just thought that was so irritating. So I just started to make fun of it. And first I thought I only had like a half a song, because I did the whole first part with the side effects that I could make fun of. And the middle, where I list all the drugs and everything, and the pharmacist is up at night and he'll talk to me. And then I thought, I don't really have a song. These songs take forever. And then I thought, I don't have a song yet. But Larry Moser and his friend Mary Nagan, Mary particularly was talking about it. She said, but why don't you also put in there how we don't even have time to schedule all the things we have to take? So then I had another place to go. So that wasn't so quick either. But I was able to then get a full song, what I considered a full song out of it, where I had the drugs first and then the trying to schedule everything.
Now, I'm getting a feeling from what you just said that you do the lyrics first and the music after.
In the humorous songs, I do that.
Humorous songs.
In the humorous songs, the lyrics absolutely come first, and it's quite a while before it gets to a structured enough point that I look at it and I say, what music is this calling for? If it's a serious song, the music might come first. A line or two of music might come along, and then I say, oh, maybe this line would go with that. But it's the music that's speaking to me.
For
because it's serious, it's more emotional, right?
You focus more on the emotion.
Right.
Whereas the only emotion you want from the humorous songs is laughter.
Exactly.
And maybe making some kind of social commentary.
Yes, and they take a long time because it just happens in layers. After staring at one of those songs for days and days and trying to do it, you lose all sense of what's funny, what's good, what isn't. Have to put it away, come back to it and say, oh, that's good, and then go around again, layers like an onion.
So how long did it take you to write the diet, not the diet is cast, side effects?
Side effects probably took a year. Most of them, I would say a year is good.
So you really craft these songs.
A year is good. I really craft them. A year is good. Although some have gone quicker. I like last year did something in 3 months. That was speedy.
That's wonderful. Well, let's hear side effects.
Okay. Day and night commercials assail us, claim to cure all the ills that ail us. But we're a litigious bunch, alas, and these vendors have to cover their backs. And so they can't just sell you. By law they're required to tell you that though this fact may diminish their wealth, these remedies could be hazardous to your health. Hence the lengthy list of possible side effects, each one more horrifying than the next. Oh, you may want to be cautious, 'cause this pill could make you nauseous, and do not get in a tizzy if it leaves you feeling dizzy. Here's a pill could cause amnesia, or a fainting fit could seizure, but don't worry, if you fall you won't remember it at all. Your restless legs could stop their rambling, you could start compulsive gambling, or develop a proclivity for increased sexual activity. And if your vision's blurring, speech is slurring, rash occurring, call your doctor who is waiting for your call. Now here's a pill, makes you weigh less, but wear dark clothes to hide the mess, and go where nobody can see you, 'cause it gives you diarrhea, swelling up of lips or tongue, or inflammation of the lung, or if your skin starts turning yellow, or your muscles feel like jello. A symptom men are wise to heed, erections that do not recede. If it has been more than 4 hours and there's no decline in powers, you could have shortness of breath, a heart attack or sudden death, just call your doctor, who might return your call. Who can you trust? Who's got the facts? I found a late night source that helps me to relax. I had a little midnight tryst with my 24-hour pharmacist. Late at night he's all alone, does not mind talking on the phone, and he doesn't have a passion for the latest drug of fashion. How reassuring he can be. And when he talks to me generically about diazepam, alprazolam, fluoxetine, fluoxamine, sildenafil, verapamil, tamoxifen, diltiazem, cimetidine, diclopidine, ondansetron, bupropion. It's better than counting sheep, and pretty soon I'm fast asleep. But in spite of all this, since Moses was given those tablets on the mount, we've taken more pills than we can count. Life's become so complicated, I'm so over-medicated, little boxes with divisions, still I make the wrong decisions, trying to combine the best herbs from the east, drugs from the west, but just to schedule all this stuff there simply isn't time enough. I take a pill upon arising just before my exercising, yellow tablets twice a day with food to help improve my attitude, brown pills while not digesting, empty stomach, enzymes resting. This pill take only at night, this once a week but stay upright. This pill I take before I dine, check out the side effects online. I cannot eat grapefruit at all with pills for high cholesterol. This pill won't mix with avocado, I'm a capsule desperado, simply muddling along, afraid of doing something wrong. When they prescribe antibiotic, then I really get neurotic. Take no milk with this, no booze with that, no sun jumping Jehoshaphat, no vitamins before or after, no defense except for laughter. And that is why I'm singing you this song.
Masterful, Lois. You are
Oh,
absolutely
thank you.
masterful. And
I'm sure you identify as all people who hear it.
well, personally, I don't take too many drugs. I really don't. I'm so lucky. I don't have to
Yeah,
take
you
too many
are lucky.
medicines. I'd like to get to some of your serious songs. You have a song that you wrote for your husband, and to me, it's one of the most beautiful songs I have ever heard. And every time I hear you perform it, I must admit, it brings tears to my eyes.
Oh,
It is
Dave,
so
thank
touching.
you so much.
The Last Goodbye, featuring Miss Lois Morton.
I'll remember you until the seas are dry. I'll remember you until the stars have left the sky. Though we're worlds apart, I'll always hold you in my heart. And even though it's time to go, I don't know how to say the last goodbye. We swam in turquoise seas, had tea on balconies, slept on foreign trains and walked on mountains in the rain. All the times we laughed and all the times you made me cry. My memories are made of these, I don't know how to say the last goodbye. But when the seagulls cry, when sunlight glitters on the bay, when the ships stand tall in port, I'll know you're not so far away. And I'll remember you, a lifetime that we cared, pictures on the wall, all that remain of times we shared. All the ways we were, and ways that now will never be. I know that I'll remember you, I want to know that you'll remember me. Mais quand les mouettes crient, le soleil brille sur la mer, saurez, voyons les grands bateaux, que tu n'es pas si loin de moi. Je me souviendrai de toi, de notre vie d'amour, photographe au mieux tout ce qui me reste de ces jours, tout que nous étions et tout que jamais ne sera. Je sais que je me souviendrai et dis-moi que tu te souviendras de moi. I know that I'll remember you. I want to know that you'll remember me.
Lois, that is the most touching song. So what have been some of the highlights of your performing career?
Or in college, I was in a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan, and there were some highlights there that I will never forget. I had the lead in Ruddigore. I was Sweet Rose Maybud at the age of 18 in the Gilbert and Sullivan Ruddigore. That was a huge highlight for me. Then I got involved in a theatrical group in Glen Cove, community theater. And I did a lot of community theater, and highlights of that were I played Mad Woman of Chaillot. That was a huge highlight for me. I played a few funny characters where those scenes we used to repeat over and over in different shows because they were really funny. Then my husband, unfortunately, developed Alzheimer's disease. It was during that, because I wrote some songs for a 3-year period from 68 to 70. And then I stopped. I had a lot of topical songs. A highlight of that period was getting songs in Broadside magazine and having my name next to Pete Seeger on the magazine.
How wonderful.
When he was in the middle of the illness, I started writing sad songs. So I have a bunch of sad ballads, of which the one that you love was the third one. More years went by, and I got into songwriting communities. Suddenly started to write humorous songs. My husband died in 1999. In 2006, I started to write this genre, which became a highlight like I can't even describe, because people were running after me. Can I have the words? Did you have the CD? And it was really, it was coming to a new place. And that's why at such an advanced age, I said, oh my God, I think it's chasing me down the road. What I never did is now chasing me.
Now, you did go to Chicago.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
That was a big highlight. NERFA was a big highlight. It's the Northeast Regional Folk Alliance. And they have these folk conferences all over the country. There's a MRFA and a SMRFA and there are all kinds of, everywhere. So I did the Diet song at NERFA. They stood up, and it was the talk of the town. For 3 days, I felt like a movie star. This guy who runs the DJ Showcase, who MCs it or whatever, is a big DJ in Chicago. And when I finished that, he said, "You're very good." He says, "I'd like you to come out to Chicago and do my folk stage radio program." That's an honor. So I said, okay. So I did go out. I went out there in 2013.
Well, Lois, it has been a real pleasure to have you here.
A pleasure for me. You are such a wonderful interviewer.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And if you want to get any of Lois's beautiful CDs, or she has them here, they're available on her website, www.loismorton.com.
Or on CD Baby.
Or on CD Baby. And I hope you do run out and buy a few of them. And if you ever get the chance, you must go and see one of Lois's shows. She's absolutely fantastic. Lois, God bless you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.